at the end, after delivering a speech, no one will come to kill me and I am still alive.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's kind of the feeling of overcoming fear by itself. The fear of standing in front of people, and sometimes I even dare doing crazy things in front of people,
Yeah.
like dancing or things that people don't normally do. And I think it helps me to become more courageous, like, okay, if I can do this, then probably I can also change my job. Probably I can also do some other things that are less significant in terms of fear. This kind of art of evaluation has made me also a better communicator, a better listener in any cases. Yeah.
Thank you, God, for being our guest this
Thank you for
evening.
inviting me.
I'm gonna start, as I said, directly now thinking one of your friends, for example, is watching you and say, okay, Golf is
Right.
on YouTube and
Right.
he's talking about Toastmasters, he's in Toastmasters, and this friend is, for example, Munich or any big city, and is
Right.
wondering, what do you do there? You've been there for many years. What is this?
Yeah. Okay, if I want to explain it to my friends, so first of all, I will tell them, or like I will tell a friend that Toastmasters is the place where I I developed I developed myself and where I improved my self-confidence.
Mhm.
Yes. And how do I do that? I improve my self-confidence by delivering speeches in front of a lot of people. Yes. That would be probably the first explanation that will come to my mind.
Yeah. And
And yeah, and it's also the place where I enjoy, where I have a lot of joy because I I think at the beginning it was a little bit like intimidating. Yeah,
uh,
it was intimidating to stand in front of a lot of people and speak the language that that's not my mother tongue. But the more you do it, the better it gets, and the more comfortable you become. And that's the thing. And at one point, you will have the feeling when you share something, when you share your stories, when you share your experiences with other people, um, the audience also has a kind of resonance. They
mm,
find some resonance and they come to you and they talk to you about those topics as well. And that, I think it makes me also a better human being because like I try to resonate with other people. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. This is one of the things that I thought about in the beginning when I
Right.
started public speaking. Okay, it's mainly when I was seeing people standing in front of others and talking. And so I thought this
Right.
is the benefit, but it's more than this because once you start, it's more about communicating and communicating not only about body language and many other techniques that we learn, of course,
Right.
but really having this connection. And it's also before and after speeches when you talk to people like, um,
Right.
yeah, when you have one-on-one talks, and then you can start having different kind of connection, and also it gives, for me, it gives me the opportunity to know more about people that have similar interest, and you know,
Exactly.
outside of Toastmasters, I had so many friends because of someone who recommended me to a
Right.
topic that I'm interested in. And now I have so many other friends in areas that are not related to Toastmasters, but it
Right.
was thanks to Toastmasters.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something amazing that happens, along the
yeah.
way. Yeah. Like on your journey,
Mm.
And I mean, I've been on this journey for over 7 years already. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
started it out in 2017. Yeah.
And you were in Munich, right? In
No, I
Toastmasters.
started it out when I was in Stuttgart.
Ah, okay.
Yes. I moved to Munich in 2018.
Mm.
right?
So 1 year in Toastmasters in Stuttgart, then
Yeah,
since 2018 in Prostmasters.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But I like 2018 was also a kind of transition year for me. So I
Mm.
moved from Stuttgart to Munich, and due to my job, due to a very demanding job, I I didn't have any time to join Toastmasters at all.
Mm.
Like during the first 6 or 7 months, and right after I tried to solve my problems by quitting that company and change to another one, um, I I had some more time. I could breathe. I had some more time
Mm.
to join Toastmasters, and Toastmasters was the place that I decided
Mm.
to come to. Yeah.
And what made you stay?
Right after I moved to Munich, the first thing I did was to look around, like to go to some Toastmasters clubs around Munich. So I went to one club and I found out that it was very crowded there.
Mm.
And I think maybe, well, I mean, it's a good atmosphere. Everybody was friendly, but it was very crowded. And I thought maybe I wouldn't get a speaking slot so easily. So I thought, well, I should try another one. And then Prostmasters was the second one that
Okay.
I went to. And it just turned out to be very hilarious evening, very funny. And I knew right away that this was the club for me. Yeah. Like I had the feeling I was like I was just joining, I was just attending a Toastmasters meeting. But the feeling was like I was in a stand-up comedy, you know.
Mm.
I was listening, I was in the audience of stand-up comedy. And that's why I fell in love with Toastmasters right away. I already shows Prostmasters back then. But as I told you, my job was very demanding, so I had to be on business trips very often. So I decided not to become a member yet, and it stayed like that for 6 to 7 months.
Mm.
And afterwards, I came back to Prostmasters. I can still remember I sent an email to Prostmasters, and I think it was Ranjit. It was Ranjit who sent me the answer, and he asked me if I was already a guest because it was like 7 months, 6 or 7 months in between that I haven't been to the club, you know.
Mm.
And maybe Ranjit was just wondering like why this guy all of a sudden he never saw me, yeah, and
Mm.
all of a sudden I wanted to become a member. Yeah. So, but anyway, so until today, Ranjit will surely recognize me. So that's it how I started with Postmasters. Yeah.
This journey and part of it, facing your fear of speaking in public and so, gave you
Right.
courage to not directly, and it was not the direct thing maybe that helped you, but it was one of the things that helped you getting out of your comfort zone and lately expanded your horizon, let's say, and then made you
Yeah.
be more courageous to make this decision of changing your career, right?
Right. That's right. I think, I mean, not only Toastmasters, but Toastmasters, like the overall Toastmasters, the concept of Toastmasters, or like my journey, I could some kind of see myself that I have become even more and more confident.
Mm.
And many people say, or let's say, I used to see very interesting statistics. It's about the answer to the question, what do people fear the most?
Mm.
Yes. And number one is public speaking. Like number one. So people fear public speaking even more than dying.
Mm.
And I kind of understand the reason because I mean if you deliver a speech or if you speak in front of a lot of people and if you do something wrong, yeah, you will feel a little bit the shame, yeah, you will feel
mm,
ashamed,
mm.
and that might be like for the rest of your life. But if you die, then you don't feel anything anymore. Maybe that's why people fear public speaking even more than dying. And I think it gave me a kind of, how to say, a kind of message that, okay, first I have to overcome public speaking.
Mm,
And until now, so I have been delivering many speeches, so several speeches, I would say maybe at least 60 or 70 in,
wow.
in
Okay.
Prostmasters,
Mm,
and also in my old club in Stuttgart, also in the French club, because I am also a member of the French club in Munich. Um, and I think during the process, I have the feeling that, okay, at the end, after delivering a speech, no one will come to kill me
mm,
and I am
mm.
still alive.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's kind of the feeling of overcoming fear by itself.
Mm,
And by doing this, I thought, okay, I have already somehow overcome my fear of public speaking, the fear of standing in front of people, and sometimes I even dare doing crazy things in front of people,
yeah.
like dancing or things that people don't normally do. And I think it helps me to become more courageous, like,
Mm,
okay, if I can do this, then probably I can also change my job.
mm,
Probably
mm.
I can also do some other things that are less significant in terms of fear. In my case, I decided to quit my job as an employee in 2022. So let's say two years ago, and become a freelancer. And that came also from this courage that I collected along the way in Toastmasters. And
Mm,
not only that, I think Toastmasters also gave me some technical skills
yeah.
to uh, to speak in front of a video, right? To speak in front of a video as well, and to become, how to say, concise, and to, yeah, to be able to communicate very
Mm.
clearly. I think that's also something that Toastmasters gave me. And by doing that, um, I started I started my TikTok and let's say, how to say, influencer journey in 2020, when I created my own TikTok channel to teach Thai people to learn German. And that has become my second job,
Mm.
and right now it has become my main job. Yeah.
Okay. Your
Yeah.
main job. So your main job, you mean also teaching. And this
Exactly. So
TikTok makes you
exactly.
gives you more visibility and people can reach you easier.
Right. So
Okay.
by growing my TikTok channel, and so I have two channels. So one in TikTok and one in Facebook. The one in Facebook is growing pretty much faster, let's say 4 times faster. And so the one in Facebook was the reason why I could quit my job,
Mm,
because I could somehow feel that there's a demand there. People want to learn German with me, and that's why I decided, okay, I would just quit, because if I don't quit my employee job right now, I don't know when I'm gonna do it. So
mm,
at some point in my life, because it has always been my dream to, like, to have my own company, to have my own business. And I think this is like the chance for me to just change and try out something that I think would make sense to my life even more.
this happened to me a lot and still happening.
Okay.
Many times I feel like myself. You know this feeling when I can't talk, I can be in the flow, I have this energy, I know what I'm gonna talk about. And people, when I'm like this, I feel like more connected to people. People get the message, they engage with me
Right.
more. And other times, for some reason, until now, every now and then, I feel like this weird moments, awkwardness come out of nowhere. When I started focusing a lot on myself and how do people see me and so, after I finish and we get this, for example, evaluations and so, I see many
Right.
times or people come to up to me, they don't mention it at all because most people don't maybe did not even notice this, you know? And this gives me reminds me of something that we in general, like people in general, each person
Right.
overestimates how much attention people give to him or her. Because
Right.
usually I concentrate on myself the most, and I see the whole world as the whole world will really look at me, especially when I put myself on spotlight, speak in public.
Okay. On the
But
stage. Right.
on stage, yeah. But even though even when you are there, everyone is still having so many other things in their mind. They have
Mhm.
their own problems, they have their own issues, they have their own maybe speeches that they will talk about after you, etc. And in the end, it doesn't matter how good or bad the speech is, everyone will clap for you, right? And then you have a chance to go
Well,
again.
yes. I mean, basically everybody will clap their hands for you, yes. But I mean, you can also you can also feel the difference. I mean, if your speech is very well prepared or has a very good content, a very relevant content, um, then probably the audience will clap even more, you know.
Mm. This comes with practice. By
Yeah,
not really worrying a lot of about what people think and how they will react,
exactly. That's
etc., then you can be yourself, you know,
exactly. So
and that's it.
you should try to be yourself and focus on yourself and not uh on the audience that much. Like you shouldn't care that much. You shouldn't care too much. Like how people are gonna see me. Are they going to judge me? Because I mean, the judge probably or like the judging process probably happens during the first second,
Mm. Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah. Nobody
Yeah,
knows your whole story, so in the end, it doesn't really matter what people think or say.
that's right. Yeah,
But yeah, in Toastmasters, you can practice this practically.
that's right. But I mean, when I don't know how it is for you, but when I did when I try to craft a speech or deliver a speech, I also try to think about the messages that I want
Mm,
to
mm,
transfer to the people.
mm,
Yeah. I mean, at least I want people to take away some messages, you know, to or to learn something or to get something from my speech so that it's not like their waste of time, you know.
And this is the main, for me, this is the thing that helps me the most in my speeches.
Mm,
Because as long as I'm concentrating on myself, this is a very good point. When I'm concentrating on
right,
myself, then I say,
right.
how people think of me. But when I say it doesn't matter how they think of me, but I know I care about the message I'm saying, and I believe, and it might help them in a way. It might make them laugh. It, I mean, just start thinking about people instead
Yeah,
of me and taking like caring about them.
exactly.
Then the stress will fade away.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so I think the good thing is you should imagine that you are doing something good
Mhm.
for the world, which
Yeah.
I think it is. Like
Yeah.
you invested some time to prepare the speech and you come on stage to share your stories with other people.
Mhm.
And I think it's the how to say it's the most common way how people communicated from generation to generation since the past by telling stories, by
Mhm.
delivering speeches, by communicating with each other. And that's how we collected wisdom over the past centuries. I mean, it also depends on the content, right? Yeah. If the content is something bad, maybe it's bad. But even if the content is bad, you can still say something, okay, what did I learn from this bad content?
mm, mm.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always try to, you can always see the brighter sides of anything. Yeah. And that's also something I learned from the evaluation speeches, which
Mm.
is something that I didn't really expect when before I joined Toastmasters. But I have to say that evaluation speeches or like this kind of art of evaluation has made me also a better communicator, a better
Mm.
listener in any
Mm.
cases. Yeah. And I think being a good listener is a kind of foundation of any good relationships. Yeah. If you want to have a good relationships with your friends, your family members, and other people, your colleagues, your bosses, it's it's all coming back to being a good listener.
Being A in whatever you do, like, you know, all the stuff that you have to know in your industry, and
Right.
B as a communicator is much worse than being A as a communicator and B as an expert in your field. And it always gives you much more opportunities because in the end, you can know everything, you can read all the books, but if you cannot communicate with people, then it doesn't bring you anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by delivering evaluation speeches, like you learn to see the good things in people,
Mm,
and you and I think this is also a kind of skill that will help you become a better person and become a more optimistic person.
mm.
Yeah. And I think
Optimistic.
this, you see it, you try to see it objectively,
Mm,
but in any speeches, like there are not only bad things, there will always be at least a good thing that you can find.
mm, mm,
That's the thing. Yeah.
mm,
And well, I think the other way around is a bit more challenging, like to try to find some flaws or some spots where you think they should improve. That is something that is I think it's a bit difficult, still
mm,
difficult for me, like to find room for improvement, you know. Yeah. But finding good things and finding strengths in the speakers, I think that is something that you can surely do. Like there are always good things in any speeches, but yeah, room for improvement, that is something that it's, I mean, I still believe that there are always rooms for improvement, but it's not always easy to find. Let's say
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just if you think about what you just said, if people statistically fear speaking in public more than anything else,
Yeah.
then just by standing in front of people, this is by itself something positive. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That is
So,
already one thing. Like, okay, you have the courage to stand in front of the audience. That's already one good thing.
let's say all the roles are empty for the next meeting, imagine.
Right.
And of course, other than having a speech,
Okay.
which one is your favorite role?
Well, I have to say, I mean, because I am also a kind of language freak, right at the beginning, I fell in love right away in the role of grammarian.
Mm.
Yes. I know it sounds a little bit weird because not so many people want to take this role, but I think that's a good thing because at least there's me. At least in this grammarian role, you're not only learning to find like bad or grammatical mistakes from people, you also try to focus on good usage of language, right?
Mm,
Yeah. And from time to time, like people, or not from time to time, very, very often, people say something very, very fine and profound, like,
mm,
and it kind of touches me right away that, oh, this is, oh, this phrase is so nice, so nicely said, and this sentence is so beautifully crafted.
Mm,
And so for me, that's why I really like to take the grammarian role. Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, in the French club, so let's say so my French is also not that bad, but it's also not that good in
mm,
comparison to my English. I think I need more time to think, and it's like in that case, so taking the grammarian role in the French club is not a good idea for me
mm,
because I can only see good things in people, but I cannot find any recommendations for improvement.
mm.
Yeah, because like it's still a little bit like my French is still not that good. Yeah. But in English, I think it's fine for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's and also this um trying to find the word of the day because as a grammarian, you also have to define the word of the day. And I think this is also a great opportunity for you to bring the meeting to a certain atmosphere, you know. If you
Mm.
choose a very positive word and people will try to use that positive word, I mean, it must be positive and it must be somehow interesting and easy to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, people will try to use that word very often. And then when I think it's also a kind of psychological phenomenon, like
Mm.
when you say something positive and like at the end, the whole evening will become very, very positive.
You've chosen the word sustainability, am I right?
Sustainable, yes.
Or sustainable, okay.
Sustainable or sustainability. I mean, everything is counted.
Yes.
Sustainable, sustainability, sustainably, sustain as a
Yeah.
verb. Yes, everything counts. Yeah, because it was the theme. Yeah, the theme was sustainability, and that's why, yeah, I chose that word.
Yeah, and I love it.
In the very first moment, like the very first years, I kind of prefer taking the role of the grammarian, right?
Mm.
But I think since 2 or 3 years, I kind of like to take the role of speech evaluator.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, grammarian is also still my sweet darling, but yeah, I try to have one more sweet darling, let's say something
Mm.
like that. Yeah, I have two sweet darlings. So, yeah, speech evaluator is also something I kind of enjoy. Yeah, because before delivering any evaluation speech, I will always think about, okay, what could I do to help the speaker? And not only the speaker, but also the whole audience. What can the audience learn from what I'm going to say? Yeah. And I think it has always been my motto for an evaluation speech. And I hope it's going in the right direction. Right. Yeah. And as I told you, so I think it also made me a better listener. And
Yeah, active listener, yeah.
I enjoy doing that as well. Yeah.
Mm.
Especially if there's somebody who delivered a speech and and he got my evaluation, and in the next speech if I see the development at like the improvement or development,
Mm.
I will be very, very happy.
Golf, is there anything from your experience in Toastmasters helped you to discover yourself more?
Okay, it's a challenging question, but the very first thing that I discovered in myself in the first year in Toastmaster was that I could also make people laugh
Mm.
with my speech.
Mm.
That is something that I didn't know. I mean, in when I speak Thai, which is my mother tongue, I can always make people laugh.
Mm.
That is no problem. But when I speak English, like in front of a lot of people, that is something I have never experienced before. And it happened after 6 months in Toastmasters. Like the vice president of the education of Stuttgart Downtown Club, so her name is Vanessa.
Mm.
She reached out to me and she asked me if I wanted to join the humorous speech contest. And I was like, me? Humorous speech contest? Like, I have been around for only like 6 months. And she
Mm.
said, Golf, I believe in you. I'm sure you can do that. It will also be a great opportunity for you to learn about this area. And I thought, okay, why not? Okay. Vanessa reached out to me and she said that it's going to be a great opportunity. And then I thought, okay, I'll do it. And I had only 1 or 2 weeks to prepare this humorous speech. But it just turned out to be very humorous. Like
Mm.
it was it was a strange feeling when I was standing in front of a lot of people and I told my stories in English and a lot of people were laughing like crazy, you know. And that was, I mean, I didn't win the competition.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I won the second place. But at least it gave me the feeling, okay, I can also make people laugh in
Mm.
English.
Mm.
Yeah. And I thought if I can make people laugh in English, then I can also probably do in other languages that I can speak as well. Yeah. And that was also the reason why I decided to choose the the path for humorous speeches. Like there is
Mm.
um how to say know your sense of humor. I have already forgotten the name of the path in pathways, but it's a humorous path, right? I I chose that path because of, or let's say thanks to this humorous speech contest that I joined
Mm.
in Stuttgart. Yeah. So that's the thing that I discovered in myself that okay, yeah. I mean, even though like my most of my speeches are not that funny, but at least I know that if I try to do something, I can make people laugh as well,
Mm.
which is a good thing because at least you know you can make people happy. When people
Yeah.
laugh, people are happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
is
very
something I
interesting.
never knew about myself.
Yeah,
Have
it's
you
very
ever done that?
interesting. Most of the times, when I try to make people laugh,
Yeah, it
it
doesn't
becomes
work.
awkward.
Okay.
And when sometimes by accident I do something, or like my speech is very like goal oriented, or let's say I have a topic, something
Yeah,
meaningful, or something I'm sharing experience or telling a story, and I just like make any mistake or do anything and then laugh about it, then I see people laugh. So it's
right.
say I don't want to define myself, but so far I haven't discovered this in me. But it's a great way to explore, because I could choose any time to do something like this. If people don't laugh, then they don't laugh. It's fine.
Exactly. It's a kind of experiment.
Yeah.
Well, that happens as well. Like sometimes you want to deliver this punchline. You want people to laugh out loud, but
Mm.
people just don't laugh. But when you deliver something else, people laugh out loud.
Yeah.
That happens as well.
Yeah.
And this comes to the second point because people the second thing I discovered was during the first 6 months when I was in Prostmasters in Munich Prostmasters. I was the grammarian during that on that evening. I was a
Mm.
grammarian, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what I said, but like people were laughing like crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, and maybe because like I can still remember that I just came back from Japan from my business trip in Japan, and I told everybody before delivering the speech, the grammarian speech, that I still had the problem of jet lag. Like I didn't have enough sleep, so I might say something silly, something stupid. So please forgive me. I say that at the beginning, yeah. And but it just turned out to be like so hilarious. Like people were laughing like like it was a stand-up comedy. Yeah. And yeah, so
Sometimes you say something without noticing it, you are preparing people to receive your speech as a fun speech. When you say, "Oh, I'm tired. I still have jet lag, etc." They might
yeah.
think, okay, because you are tired, you might say things in a bit different way, more funnier way. So
Yeah, I don't know why, but it was a strange feeling, but positively strange, a
yeah,
positively weird feeling. Like, come on, this is a grammarian report. It is supposed to be serious. It is
mm,
supposed to be like getting to the point. I have to tell people what they should improve in their language accuracy. But it just turned out to be like a stand-up comedy. So that was also something that I never thought will happen.
you know
Yeah.
something I like a lot about our club, and I haven't seen in the other clubs yet, that we don't have competition. You mentioned second place, for example, a speech, or first place. I see many other clubs when you have speeches, like you have three or four, then they tell people to vote what is the best speech. I don't disagree with it, let's say, but I
Okay.
really like that we don't think about it. We just enjoy every speech without thinking much. Like, it's enough that we give the evaluation. They usually do for table topics and for speeches whenever there are more than three, or at
All
least
right. All
three.
right.
At least three,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. But I think this is something that each club could do it differently. This is what I say, what I
Yeah.
like about pros. I mean,
And
one
I
of
mean,
the things I like about
it's
Prostmaster.
quite hard to vote for the best speech because like most of the people are working on different projects, and each project has different goal, different
Exactly.
target.
Mm,
So you cannot compare,
yeah,
you cannot compare speeches with different goals together. That's so it doesn't sound so fair to me.
yeah.
It's- yeah.
And also, I think about it like someone, for example, who's been afraid of speaking in public for years
Yeah,
and had the courage to come and speak. I would not compare him with someone who's been in the club for 20 years, and let's say,
exactly.
and it's also not fair to give this
Right.
person who's new the best speech just because he's new. I mean, both ways is not right. So that's
Exactly.
why I like it that
Yeah.
we don't have this competition. It's enough.
Yeah.
And paradoxically, many of our members, when they go to the competitions, they reach
There is
they
very
reach
high levels. Yeah.
really high levels. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And I also think that this is also the advantage of Munich Prostmasters. We have a lot of contest veterans, let's say, like a lot of experienced speakers who won the speech contests on a very high level. And I think we can learn a lot from them.
Mm,
I think during the last 2 or 3 years, I learned quite a lot from Michaela, from Ranjit, from Kumar, from many, many people who are like, who have more experiences than I do.
mm. And I remember, since also you mentioned Michaela, she says a
Right.
lot. There's no such place where you pay so little for so much benefit as
Exactly.
in Toastmasters.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it all depends on you how you want to invest your time, right?
Mm,
I mean, but in terms of financial investment, it's a very, very little investment, like very
mm,
small thing. Yeah. And I mean, thinking about what I have done or what I have become, I think Toastmaster has played one of the key roles, yeah, in
mm,
my life. And that's
mm.
why I decided to stay and never quit. Like no matter how busy I am, I try to come to the club meetings because I think at least I paid for the membership and I should try to come. Yeah, yeah. And it's also the place where most of the time before it's the meeting that I normally feel drained. Like feel drained before coming to the meeting, but after the meeting, I feel energized before going
Yes,
home.
yes, yes. It happened to me, especially last meeting. I
Yeah,
had I had, let's say, tough day and so many
right.
things. And in the end, I was like, my wife told me, after all of this, are you sure you're still gonna go to Toastmasters or
Yes, of course, you're the
Prostmaster?
president.
Yeah, I said,
You're the president. You have to
and
go to Toastmasters meeting.
I told her, yeah, I'm gonna go because you're gonna see after I come back, that my energy will be different. And it was like this, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it happens to me most of the time. Yeah. And I I cannot explain why, but I think it's probably because of this positivity that we spread throughout the whole meeting.
Mm,
Like I have never seen or I have never experienced a meeting where we have a lot of negativities or like awkward situations.
mm,
That that never happened, I think. I have never seen such a meeting so far, and
mm.
I hope it will not happen.
Golf, do you like also to tell us what, in general, what are the positive changes you saw in your life since you joined Toastmasters?
First thing is I kind of collected my courage to change something in my career, to change from an employee job to a freelancer. And that needed a lot of courage. And I had
Mm,
it. And I have to say that 80% of the courage came from Toastmasters. Then what I also see, and which is something very, very easily noticeable,
mm,
is when before I joined Toastmasters, from when I have to to when I have to present something in front of my colleagues, right?
mm,
At work, like sometimes I could feel that my legs were trembling.
mm,
Yeah, I
mm,
like were shivering and trembling somehow, and it has always been like that until let's say maybe 2019. So after I came to Munich and joined Munich Prostmasters, so let's say I have been in Toastmasters for like over a year back then. But I could recognize that my legs did not tremble anymore. Like they and I didn't feel anything. Like I didn't feel any vibration in my body when I stood in front of so many bosses,
mm,
so many managers, and I was also presenting in German, not even in English.
mm,
It was in German, which is actually not the language that I practice in Toastmasters. So that was quite surprising to me. Like when like the first moment when I was standing in front of the managers and presenting something, and I could feel that I could feel that I didn't feel anything in my body. Like it was like talking to friends.
mm,
Yeah. And I think that was like the first moment was quite amazing because what? I was surprised. I was surprised at myself, you know.
mm.
And yeah, that's amazing. And right afterwards, I didn't have any problem at all. Like when I presented something in front of the managers at work, I I never shiver again. Like never shiver, never
Yes.
tremble again. Yeah.
That's why they say public speaking is like any other skill that you also don't really forget. For example, if you know how to drive a car,
Right.
a BMW, for example,
Yeah.
and you know how to drive an Audi. So it's the same thing, although it's maybe a different
Yeah.
language or a different context, different people around you. But since you have the skill, you have the confidence, you know how to communicate,
Right.
then yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think it
interesting.
helped. It
Yeah.
helped a lot. Yeah. And also it also helped as I already told you, it helped me as well to create my video channel.
Mm,
Yeah. So that was a big help
yeah.
because without this kind of self-confidence that I have, without this, I wouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Mm.
I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have thought, or I wouldn't have come to the idea to create a a channel where I deliver videos or where I publish videos teaching people to speak German. Yeah.
Mm,
So that's quite a big thing. And yeah. And I think it gave me also this kind of immunity against haters' comments, like because I am confident in myself
mm.
and it doesn't really matter that much what other people think. And if I think that they are not saying the right thing, they are not writing good comments, I will just delete the comments and block persons. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, tell me one person in the whole world, any public speaker, any celebrity or public figure who doesn't have haters. Because in the end,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
you just have to live with it.
Yeah. I think everybody has one or two at least. Yeah.
But the percentage usually, like the vast majority, are people who are happy with your content, who are following you, who are clapping for you, or at
Exactly.
least neutral. And
Yeah.
yeah, in the end, you're gonna find some who are, for some reason,
Exactly. And
not.
that is also something, I mean, if you are trying to grow your YouTube channel or your social media channel somewhere, it's very important to focus on the positive sides. Like,
Mm,
okay, there might be some one or two bad comments
yeah,
or three. Yeah. But in comparison, you get like 100, 200,000 of positive comments. Why do you have to focus on these
yeah,
three people whom you don't know personally?
mm,
Yeah. So that is something I try to tell myself. Yeah.
yeah,
When I see some strange or some negative comments. Yeah. But that's something that you have to learn along the way.
mm,
Yeah. It's not easy at the beginning, but the more you see it, the more experiences you collect, you will get used to it and you will know
mm,
how to deal with it, I think. Yeah. But above all, the self-confidence that I gained in Toastmasters was, I think, the was the foundation of this kind of crisis management.
Thank you for sharing your story and thank you for telling us about your experience and telling us about yourself also, how from your experience, how this journey, these 7 years changed you, and looking forward to continue the journey together and hear from you also in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it has been my pleasure.
Thank you, Gulf.